mentally tough group, a group that has made together, worked together, fought together. There's really no reason to get up in the morning and worry about it.
And the movable parts,
Right.
where you have been able to play the designated player this year with, Katherine Johnson gets hot.
Yep.
Eddie Baker gets hot. Different players are able, and you can see that during practice and during extra workouts of whose timing is there, whose timing is not there. That gut feeling you have when
Yep.
you fill out that card that I think it's going to be her day and it's her time. And you haven't been wrong very often this year.
Well, we've talked about, I think our dream as an offensive club, we've had offensive clubs in the past, was to really put 1 through 9 and be a threat 1 through 9. And I think we've talked about it before, is there's 5 or 6 more people sitting over there that deserve some time. And we've been able to fit, technology is amazing, scouting is amazing now. We've been able to put in a few pieces on top of that. And whether it's one at bat or a specific defensive sub, or we've been able to bring a pitcher at a certain time in the lineup, I mean, that's when you really start to get to play with the parts and pieces.
Coach Jen Sewell joins us. Again, if you have, interact with us on all of our social media channels. You can send us a comment, and we will try to get those to Coach and, of course, all of our great athletes here throughout the next hour as we'll join you here from the Cook Club here on the campus of Southern Illinois. All the tournaments you've been a part of, Coach Sewell, you've had so much experience of going in, whether you're an underdog, maybe so much last year, even though you were at home going through this conference tournament, to this year being the favorite. What's the difference of going into a tournament where maybe you can, not that you're ever really nice and loose, but to a tournament where all the expectation is on you?
Yeah, it's the first time I've really been in with a club where we were the hunted. It was a very, I know the coaching staff had different experience, but I couldn't tell with the roster any difference. I think they felt like they knew they were the best club there, and it was just a matter of time in each game. I think when you have been kind of to war with each other, you can look to your left and look to your right. You can look at a catcher and know what you've got. You've been through 9 months of, I know the public just sees maybe a few practices and a few games, but you've gotten up together, you've stayed up late together, you traveled on the bus till midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, you've studied in a hotel lobby together. So you know when you get on the field who's going to sit beside you and who's really going to go to battle with you.
Well, when you look at the fact that 1991 was the last time that a Southern Illinois softball team, which has been to the NCAA tournament many times since then,
Yep.
It's the first time since 91 that you won both the regular season and the conference tournament. I think that says a lot for the makeup of this team, number one. Number two, the fact that they are never seemingly out of a game. And in years past, there were probably teams that wouldn't be able to come from behind, or they'd get down and go, oh, woe is me, when's the next game, or something like that. But there's something about this group, and Mary Jo would be the only one who could probably tell us about that particular team. I was here then, but I didn't know a heck of a lot about the team, but it had to have that same kind of grit, that same kind of feel to it, where you just never felt you were out of a ball game.
Well, I think we knew how hard it was to do, but it was like they didn't know. They just knew it was a possibility, and then it became an expectation. I think the coaching staffs and anybody who interacts with them, the media, those types of folks, they know on paper how hard that is to do. But we didn't really talk about it a whole lot, and it was almost as if, well, it can't be that hard because we're getting ready to do it. I mean, there was an expectation there. It was what it took to go to the regional. We win the regular season, we win the tournament, and then we go on to a regional, and we try to show up in that regional final and win that. This team has raised their expectations, and we talked about that. I'm not sure we've, with any other team, been able to talk about that so early in a season in the fall and say, hey, from the moment we opened with, John A. Logan and some of those folks in the fall, this is a destination to this weekend.
Well, one of the areas that you talked about with me that I really enjoyed when we did our podcast with you back in the fall was you would always show your freshmen what Hall of Famer freshman numbers were.
Yep.
Well, you may not want to show them what Mattia Groff's numbers are from here on out during their freshman year as a comparison. But again, you say that for a reason because it's so hard to come in right away and have that type of success.
Yep.
You've been asked about Mattia all throughout the year, But what about now? Now that you get into an NCAA regional where the cameras, the lights are going to be its brightest, what makes her make up through what she's done throughout the year? No hesitation. You know what to expect from her this week.
By far, between Raylan and her, the most willing to get uncomfortable on the mound and work through that discomfort. Whether it's a strike zone, whether it's a hot day, whether it's a lot of media, whether it's a lot of awards, by far one of the best to be able to stay focused in the moment and pay attention to what's most important. I don't know that you can teach that to someone. I think it's ingrained in them from the time they were young, and they also played a lot of very high-level championship club ball, so they're very used to being in the spotlight like a lot of our other recruits. But by far the most willing to say, hey, go home, look at what I did well, but most importantly, look at what she did, make a few adjustments, and then come back even better. The difference between, I think we've talked about it before, strikeout numbers on Friday, come back on Sunday, face the same team, and increase those strikeouts, right, and pitch even better. I think her and Maddie both have had the ability to do that, and that's a willingness to say, hey, what I did on Friday, maybe I can do better. And oftentimes both of them walk off the field and say, I've got more in me. And that gives the coaching staff a lot of belief that you can go to either one of them. But the discomfort, it can get uncomfortable when you are the one that holds the ball in your hand in big moments. And when you are, your adrenaline's running and it's supposed to be high stress, nobody looks really stressed out. It really is a fun, enjoyable experience for them.
And I remember early in the year, I think we were hosting Drake and Belmont was playing Northern Iowa. And after the Drake game, Rylan and Mattia went home to scout the UNI Belmont game, knowing we were going to face them later in the year.
Right.
Freshmen don't do that.
No. I mean, that's one willingness that, you, again, if you can see what you need to be doing, you're already ahead of what even a coaching staff can give you. So I think that's where, you're dealing with a special individual at that point.
And another thing, they've been calling their own pitches all year long.
Yep.
I noticed it in the fall, and I asked people, no, they're not calling their pitches. Jen still. And I went, neither one of them ever look in the dugout. No, they're calling their own pitches.
Yep.
And that's that. I'm sure that's part of that twin language, but also the fact that they've been, number one and number two, pitcher-catcher, all the way through. What was the discussion with you, or was there even a discussion with you about that aspect of the game that you generally have control, you or Katie have control over? Not that you don't now, but you've said until something really major goes wrong, do what you do.
Well, and I think we would be almost interfering at that point. I mean, if we get involved in it, we're almost overthinking it for them. The best thing that they can do is go one or two times through with what's working, and they know that best. And then the only suggestions often we will make is, hey, think about, maybe no off speed with 2 strikes, or use the off speed a little bit earlier. Okay, now it's time to change, and let's start introducing the change up or the rise middle or something like that. And the only other thing normally when I visit the mound is, hey, are you ready for us to straighten up the defense a little bit because you're getting ready to do something wild out here? And that means we're going to introduce a lot more change up. We're going to introduce a rise in a different spot, and we want to make sure that I'm paying attention defensively more than anything. But other than that, I felt like we would get in their way of what they were doing. That is special to them. And then for me with Maddie, I felt like I can take a lot of the extra responsibility off of them. And so when I make a bad call, it's on me. I made a ridiculous call in the Drake game that cost Maddie a 3-run home run. And I got greedy and went to the changeup, and the kid golfed it out. But for some kids, I want to say, hey, that's on me. You go finish the game. That's you're doing great. It was a great pitch. The hitter executed on it, and that's just on me for doing that. And so there's a couple different ways to do it, but the biggest thing is we don't want to interfere with what they do really well.
One of the areas, Coach Sills, you look towards the regional now this weekend, it's a big topic of conversation. A lot of the other sports, when you get the postseason play of when maybe you're seeing someone for the first time or seeing a team that you don't play on the regular, it helps when you have some common opponents. There's not a ton of common opponents with Cal, but they did play Illinois State in a very competitive game. They also played Illinois, who you've seen in midweek. Does that help? Is that overblown from a media perspective of looking at teams that you've already played against to help you, at least in the initial process of trying to figure out how to navigate a team?
Yeah, I think the first thing that we did was sort of go through their schedule and say, hey, what feels good, what sounds familiar to us, and obviously the Illinois State and the Illinois games popped up. Now with all this, the pre-cut scout film that goes along, there's 3 or 4 different programs out there. You can watch a 120-pitch game in about 10 minutes. So there's really, I guess, taking away the surprise factor of what you're going to get. But I'm always interested about once we get on the field, the video can make it look one way. The real life experience can make it look a whole different way. So we've been through some of the film. I know Katie and MJ have already started that. I'm very interested. There's a little bit still of like a West Coast type softball being played where it's like slash and dash and bunt and do some things. And I think they're coached by one of their alums who is an incredible player, been to the World Series herself. And she's still, I can tell, introducing some of that run and gun to them, they may show bunt, slap, hit all in the same at bat. So we'll be interested to see some of that. But the thing that I always go back to is when I'm looking is there's a Maddie Groff and a Maddie Everly, and they're going to have to deal with them for the first time. So, and our offense has proven in big games that we can make adjustments pretty quickly, 1 through 4 at bats, and like we've been saying all year, we're going to bet on us. So,
I mean, they're in conference. They were 9-13 in the conference, so they didn't even finish 500 in their conference. How good? Give our fans and people a perspective of how good that conference is.
Well, I mean, you're talking about the Conference of Champions. So UCLA, Arizona have dominated how many, 20 national titles. So the birth of softball really came from this conference. Now, the great thing about it is, you saw Michigan win the first national title east of the Mississippi, and you've now seen the ACC and the SEC jump in on that. So I think now recruits coming to us, it doesn't matter where they go, believe that they have championship level softball in them. It's not that you have to go to the Pac-12 to see that level. But obviously you're going to see a UCLA team, a Stanford team, a Washington team, an Arizona team, and now a Cal resurgence, I would say, since probably the early 2000s. Mm-hmm. She's brought them all the way back into the regional, and it's pretty impressive considering, obviously it's an amazing institution, but they don't always have the top resources that a UCLA and an Arizona might have. So for her to bring them back to the tournament, they're going to be pretty savvy in all parts of the game.
Well, obviously I know the expectation is to do well and to go there and compete and not just show up and be happy to be there, but don't want to necessarily say speaking hypotheticals of what it would mean to win a regional, to accomplish that task, but just in general, how much has this year, Coach Sewell, been how you've won these games, how close they've come down to the end, how that success has breeded more success. And watching the games from afar, and I'm sure Mike can attest to it because he's been there in person, which is a totally different feel. Even in those moments where you're down to the final inning, you may be down to your final out, there's still just a sense of calm with your team. That has to bode well, knowing now the pressure is going to be at its all-time high. Your team's been used to it all year. They play in high-pressure games all year. Yeah,
postseason softball is a lot. I think we've talked about it before. Your stars have to show up. They have to pitch and play well and defend. And then just in these types of games, you have to have someone that also comes out of the blue. And I think going into the tournament, it was some of our 7, 8, and 9 hitters that were really helping us out. And then, you have a different player in each game sort of show up, culminating with like a Sid Jones in a 3-for-3 situation on Saturday. It's going to take a deep lineup. You can't go up there with just your 1 through 4 hitters and maybe 1 pitcher. You really have to play a very complete game in the postseason. And they give you 21 outs. So let's use 21, right? It's not over after the 5th. It's after, we talk about it all the time. Usually the fastest to 21 with the most runs gets the W. So we're going to try to continue to play that type of softball, and we have to remember we've won in a lot of different ways, and we've lost very few games this year. So we've learned a lot from winning, and I think that's where a team can really carry a lot of momentum into the postseason.
Well, we got a jam-packed show the rest of the hour. We got Maddie Eberly and Maddie Groff join us next. But, Coach, one, appreciate your time, not just today, but throughout the year. I hope we get to do another preview
Yeah,
a week from now. That
I'm
would be
kind of boring. I think the show is coming now. So log in now. So
absolutely. I know we have close to over 500 plus on Twitter watching
Yep.
us here, or X. Now, Coach, so really appreciate the time. We look forward to watching you guys compete this weekend in Baton Rouge.
Thank you so much. We've loved it.
Absolutely. We'll take a timeout. When we come back, we will be joined by Maddie Eberly and Maddie Groff. You are listening and watching the Saluki Softball Regional Preview on all of our Saluki athletic channels. All right, now we're joined by some really special guests here on. Not that Coach Sewell's not special. Coach Sewell is always special throughout the year. So it's an honor to be joined by two ladies who have been very popular on the weekends, especially within the circle there on the softball diamond. It's Maddie Groff and Maddie Eberly join us here. Ladies, welcome. So great to have you. It's an exciting time. NCAA regional, everything coming up. This is what you've been working for all year long.
Yeah, it's exciting. Super exciting. This is the goal since the beginning of the year.
Maddie, you have been here for years. Of course, Big Game Maddie or Tightrope Maddie.
Tightrope Maddie.
As what Mike Trude has been able to nickname you over the weekend, which, of course, we saw what happened a year ago in the tournament. You're not 100% healthy, but yet you're still going out there giving everything you have. Obviously coming back this year, helping out Maddie, who's been in such a key role. What's this year just been like for you, from really being kind of the main leader, helping Maddie, and really serving whatever role you can, especially in big-time moments like you did last week in Bloomington Normal?
Obviously, Maddie is the best pitcher I've ever played with, and just knowing my role as well coming in and just being able to perform, coming in whenever my name gets called, too, and just going out there and doing my thing.
What was your off-season like and your spring like to get into the shape that you got yourself into? Because you were like a used car wreck during the end of the tournament and into the NCAA regional last year. People have no idea what you went through. So without being really graphic, you went through a lot.
Yeah, so I found out after the season that I had 2 stress fractures in my lower back, and I ended up having to sit the whole fall, just get healthy, got better. I got in with Mead Smith, our strength coach, and just started focusing on nutrition as well, and just focusing on getting stronger for the team as well.
And I know that the way you were pitching last year was to alleviate pain of your delivery. So did you get used to that delivery and have to completely change the way you threw the softball?
Oh, yes, for sure. Last year I had to wear like a back brace under my uniform. I was throwing just however I could just to get the ball across the plate, to be honest with you. But none of it was my actual, I'd say, how I would throw last year.
Maddie, there's always a lot of talk about newcomers that come into a program. In the fall, there was a lot of conversation about yourself and the skill that you had coming into the program. How did you personally handle all that expectation? Because there's not a lot of freshmen that come into a program and are really being the talk of kind of the fall ball, but you were, yet you never seem to let that bother you at all. What was it like in the fall coming in and handling with all that expectation for you personally, how you dealt with it?
Well, it doesn't mean anything until you do something about it. So until we actually made a move in conference or won conference or made it to regionals, I don't feel like it meant anything until, we actually followed through with what we said we were going to do. So I just didn't really put too much stress on it because it's all just talk until you actually do it.
How different was this year compared to your last year in high school? Did you play last summer as well in your travel ball, in your travel league? So what's the difference, the biggest difference between coming in as a freshman and carrying the load, and you carried the load in high school as well, but the difference level of competition, the travel, everything that you had to go through?
This has definitely been a unique experience to any other softball season that I've ever played, and I think that mostly comes to the fact that in conference you're playing series, and I've never done that before, and having to work through and seeing a team, there's times on Sundays where they're on their 12th at bat off of me, and so figuring out how to still get outs even though I'm an open book. They know everything I have, and you're seeing them later in postseason. They know everything. It's all on the table. So just being able to adapt and work through that versus only seeing a team once or not even knowing any of their hitters versus you have a scout, they have a scout, just working through that, I would say.
So when you go into, let's say you're playing a midweek game and you happen to be pitching that game, it's the only time you're going to play that team this year. Do you feel you have the advantage over the offense?
Oh, yeah. I love that because I go to Ryland. I'm like, well, we can just throw change. It doesn't matter. We're not saving anything. You can just lay it all out there. So, yeah, those are definitely easier planning-wise. Yeah.
When you come into a program like this, Mattia, with so much history, so much tradition, where the expectation was not just to get to this point. It's to win this weekend, to go and get a regional. But then to have someone like Maddie next to you who has been a huge leadership role for you. Put words into what she's meant to you this year and how big of a part she's played in your development this year.
Well, I'll say it. Besides Ryland, Maddie's definitely my best friend on the team. We just spend we spend so much time together that we're spending all this time together since we're both POs. So she's just really taken me under her wing and not let any ego or anything get in the way of that, and I just feel lucky that I've had a senior like that to play under, and like you guys have said, she just took the ball, she just stepped up, and me watching her season last year, I go, yeah, that's the girl that I want on my team, and I could just tell from the moment that I stepped up here. I think the very first word she said to me, she's like, are you the pitcher? I go, yep, and she goes, all right, let's do this thing.
See, that's great. That could have been completely different, right?
Yes.
Coming in.
Yes. And so that's just a big blessing that has just made this whole transition so much easier to know that she's always on my team and I'm always on hers.
What was the emotion like for both of you through a conference tournament, the emotions you go through in all of the games? We'll, of course, have Liz on. We'll talk to her about her heroics. But of trying to not be overly emotional, too, in the moment. Now, of course, for Liz, most of those moments were when the game was over and you could somewhat celebrate. But what are those like just for you when you're in the dugout, when you're watching your team go through, when it's getting down to the final out, when those rallies are building? What's that like as an emotion of a pitcher when you're just watching your offense go at it in some late game situations?
Again, that's nerve-wracking. It's out of our hands type thing. So just knowing, and I have all the trust in the world in every last one of my teammates, and knowing that, it keeps me calm as well in the dugout and on the mound.
Yeah, no, I would say the same thing. There's only so much that we can do, that we just have to do our job, and again, they always come through, and there's no doubt in our minds that once they just got to keep sticking with it, and we were going to get there. So
Difference this year between last year. Last year you were every pitch, just about every single game in the Valley tournament. This year came in relief both times, and on Saturday Mattia went an inning and a third, and you had to carry the load, came in with runners on base, and they had, and through no fault of your own, there were runners on base the rest of the ball game. They only got 2 hits. You intentionally walked Papillo 3 times, and there were runners on base when you walked her. In fact, you loaded the bases one time just to get to that next hitter. that's where I came up with the tightrope Maddie, because you tiptoed all those situations and never folded, never unchallenged somebody. You went right after them.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I mean, what the mindset, because that could have ended really horribly, but it didn't, and you carried that over from a year ago as the 6th seed and winning 4 straight games, and then this year coming in relief and just going at it.
And coming in for relief, I knew we were already down 2-0. I just had to keep the score there. And just being able, obviously I wouldn't have wanted to have all the walks that I did just to be tightrope Maddie or whatever. But just being able to get out of that situation, it didn't hurt us, and it didn't hurt me on the mound as well.
And how big was the pitch that got away from Anna? We're not blaming Anna. And then but you covered the plate perfectly, and that girl tried to score. Were you shocked? Because it came right back to Anna.
Yeah, I was shocked. I knew I was joking around with everyone. I threw my face mask off like I was a catcher running there. I hadn't tagged someone out in like 5 years, if I'm honest with you. So it was super exciting. And we said that was a game plan. We meant to do it. I meant to throw that pitch there.
We'll see it throughout this hour. You know, I know Mike has seen it first close traveling with all of you this year. But the chemistry that all of you have with each other, obviously both of you have great chemistry, but it's clear. And it's not just the seniors. It's everybody on the roster. There is a common belief. There's a common love for one another. How do you explain it? What is it about this team? And Maddie, you can start from a freshman perspective, and then we'll get Maddie's perspective as a senior. It's not easy as a freshman coming into college in a new program, yet this expectation's there. There's a team just in lockstep and arm. Every step you take, you take together. Why is it about this team it's that way?
I think it's really important to, just have a mutual respect for everybody on the team. You don't have to be best friends, but it's kind of just worked out that way that we are each other's best friends. And I think a lot of that can just be a credit to, like you said, the seniors. We make sure that we're bonding outside of softball. So we're not just getting to know each other on the field and then see each other at practice and, oh, bye, like we're outside of practice, forming relationships, and I think that's just been huge.
For you, Maddie, what is it? What just makes this team just so unique and special?
It's like everyone has each other's back, whether it be on or off the field. Like I know if I'm having a bad day, someone, doesn't matter who it is, will come pick me up and just like they're there for me no matter what. And I know that's a big thing to have on a team as well. And I've been on teams that's not like that, and just having that I think makes our game step up on the field as well.
Talk about Rylan. Twin sister, was there ever a decision that you weren't going to go to the same school together? Because obviously you're here, and losing that twin language that you guys, that everybody sees but nobody truly understands, how has that evolved? And was there a time where you thought, okay, I'm going to go here and Rylan may go somewhere else?
So I said this before, but we entered the recruiting process. It's just a crazy time period in your life. You're a junior. You're like, I don't really know what's going to happen. So we entered it. We're like, we're not going to close any doors prematurely. If this process takes me one way and you the other, that's fine. Let's just keep our options open. But as it just unfolded, we realized that we really just wanted to stay together.
And what is the twin language that you guys have back? Because I'll watch, doing the games, I'll watch you guys, and you'll throw a pitch that maybe didn't hit the glove where she wanted it, and you'll automatically do this, and I know that means my bad or my fault,
yeah.
But does it mean something else too? Talk about that language that you guys have between each other. Not giving away secrets, but
Right. We have a way of communicating without words while we're out there, just to make the pitch calling easier. I'll just leave it at that.
And you don't shake her off very much. There are a couple of times that I've seen it, and the pitch will change, but you are pretty confident in the game plan that you guys go over by yourselves and with Katie as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Rylan knows what she's doing. She's looked at the scout a lot. I definitely give her so much credit for that. She's caught me for however many years, and just this year has she taken over the responsibility of pitch calling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so my dad had previously, he'd been my club coach and my high school coach and called all of my games. And so I think that's a fact that a lot of people don't know. This is her first time doing this, and she's just taking it on like a champ, and she owns it when she thinks it's her bad. It's not. But she owns it, and she's just handled, that pressure beautifully.
That's amazing.
Absolutely. We'll let you both go on this note. There's, again, so many things from Maddie being a part of the senior class where you look at the list of accomplishments, there's so many accomplishments on that list that not very many, if any, other senior classes have had here. But you see it throughout the sport. What really can change a program is winning a regional. And it's one thing to get there. It's another thing to win it, and how that can really change how a program is viewed. Saluki softball is held in very high regard, but a regional championship would push it that much further. As a senior, what would it mean to go out the door knowing that you were part of the senior class to knock down a door that many Saluki teams have been wanting to knock down recently?
I think it'd be crazy just knowing, like, our class left a legacy here. You always want to leave a legacy type thing, and I know winning that regional would leave us and leaving our legacy.
It would absolutely do, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch both of you this weekend in Baton Rouge. Have you had Cajun food before? Are you looking forward to having maybe Cajun food for the first time?
I haven't. I'm excited. I want some crawfish.
Yeah.
Little etouffee. It's good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Trust this guy when you go down. I'm sure he can give you the roundabouts there in Baton Rouge. Maddie, it's been so much fun watching you all year long, especially the success you've had. Keep it going this weekend. We'd like to have a couple more weekends watching both of you play.
Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Can't wait.
Once again, that was Maddie Groff and Maddie Eberly. We'll be back with more here on the Saluki Softball Regional Preview as the Valley Player of the Year, Jackie Liss, and Cindy Jones joins us right after this break. You're listening to Saluki Softball on Saluki Athletics.
Thanks for having us. Ooh, I'm sweating.
Hey, Sid.
Hey, Sid, indeed. We're back. We're back here with Jackie Liss, the Valley Player of the Year, and Cindy Jones, who was one of many heroes in the conference tournament last weekend in Bloomington Normal, especially in the tournament championship game. Ladies, welcome. What's it like preparing for a regional? Because this is what your expectation was all year. So
Yeah.
I actually don't even know if really the feelings are that different, because you're expected to still be practicing and still get going, right, Jackie?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely had it in our schedules already. Me and Anna were planning to go to concerts, and we were like, man, we can't go to that one. We're going to be in a regional that weekend. So, like, we've had it planned since in the fall.
Yeah.
Sydney, for you, what's the expectation been like just with this team this year? We talked about with your other teammates a moment ago, Maddie and Maddia, of everybody since the fall. It seems like there's been no mistake of what the common goal was.
No, I think we can all agree that the common goal was to ultimately make it to a regional, but to win a regional game, to make it to a final, that's the next step. And I definitely think with this team that we can make that goal. I think seeing Cal, I think that's great for us, and I think we have a good shot at even seeing LSU, whether hopefully in the final game. So I think this is a really good year for us, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Talk about your journey getting here, because you were supposed to be here right out of high school, from what I understand, and somebody didn't sign on that in that dotted line. So
No.
talk about your journey to get here, and then what it's meant to be able to come back into this program.
Yeah, so I was in Ohio, in Oxford, at Miami, my first 2 years, freshman and sophomore year. And after my sophomore year, I decided to enter the portal. And for a while, I was pretty much a college dropout for a while. So, I just went through the process, reached out to as many schools as I could, and then SIU was, they were at the top of my list. Towards the end of the season, I was even watching them play on ESPN, having Bailey play with her and travel. I reached out to her a lot when I was going through the process. So I owe a lot to her. I owe a lot to Jen for getting me here. If I wasn't coming here, the thought of not playing softball was going through my mind because my heart was set on SIU. There was a lot of benefits, and I thought I was like, I could see myself playing here. So I talked to Jen. She got me on a visit down here, and right once I came down, I was like, well, this is where I'm going to be. This is where I'm going to play. And I've had the best 2 years of my college experience. I'm really happy, and it's cliche, but it was the best decision I ever made.
That's fantastic.
Jackie, watching you play this year, there is just a swagger that you have. There is a confidence that you have, and your numbers back it up to have the walk that you walk throughout the games. Where do you get that from? What do you credit to really get that inner drive that you have and to also have the moxie that you play with?
I just feel like, personally, I can't play down. Like, I've got to play like I'm the biggest, baddest person on the field. Like, that's just how I got to play, because then it really forces me to have to back it up. So I feel like just the more, like, loud and outgoing and, like, just, like, I can be, like, that's just going to make me play at my best.
What was it about the start of conference season? All of a sudden, you started just knocking you-know-what out of the ball. And it's not that you weren't hitting in the preseason or in the non-conference, but there was something about the start of conference play that you just seemed so different at the plate than you did early in the year. Was it the way you were being pitched early in the year? Was it your attack earlier in the year? What? All of a sudden you went on a 17-game hitting streak. I mean, you hit everything.
Yeah, well, I feel like having last year's experience, I knew how the Valley teams like to pitch to me, and I'd seen a lot of the pitchers. Like, there weren't that many new freshman pitchers in the Valley, so I had a game plan for most of them. And then also with the beginning of the season when I wasn't hitting very good, I just kind of tossed that out. I was like, this is a new, like, part of the season we're going into, like preseason. We're just going to forget that happened. Take, learn something from it. Like, they're going to throw me low out. That's what everybody did there. Valley's going to try to do it. I know these pitchers. That's what they did last year. We're just going to adjust, hit it, forget what we did in the past, and just keep going forward with it.
So non-con, were they pitching you the same way? You just weren't connecting?
Yeah, I just wasn't making the adjustment I needed to make, and so going into Valley play, just put my ego beside me and just said, we're going to figure out how to get on base, because the rest of the team was doing a really good job preseason, and I just wasn't pulling my weight, so I said, I just need to figure out a way for me to get on base and let them take care of their jobs, because they were doing a really good job with that.
And the one who was doing probably the best job was one hitting about 370 coming into conference play. What was it about your non-conference this year that was so different from a year? Well, number one, you were starting and playing a lot more. I'm sure that helps up here especially. But was there anything that you did differently this year in your approach to this season hitting-wise?
I think the biggest thing for me was, like, I don't know who these pitchers are. I'm just going to go up there and hit. Like, they haven't seen me, I haven't seen them, so I'm just going to give the best shot I can. I mean, it's simple. I was just thinking, think simple. See ball, hit ball. And I was like, you got this. You know how to play. You've been doing this for the past 19 years or so. So, I mean, I just went in with the mentality that you don't know who I am, so I'm going to show you who I am. And I think that was a big part of the preseason for me, was just going up there and keeping it simple and just hacking away.
It's been a topic that we've touched on today throughout the year with Coach Sewell. It doesn't matter at any point in the weekend, whether it's things are going really well, not really well, team's the same. And even if you're down late, 7th inning, down your final at-bats, find ways to win. For you, Sydney, when maybe the tournament for the most part wasn't going your way, But then on the biggest day, when someone needs to rise to that championship level, you do. But many may think it just comes to that day. What is it about you every day, consistently, that you just try to do, whether it's your routine, how you approach the park, to make sure that you know, regardless of whether it's a 3-for-3 day with massive hits, whether it's go-ahead hits, or days where maybe you strike out, it doesn't go well, you try to stay the same so you know you can capitalize in those moments like you did in the championship game over the weekend?
Yeah, usually I stick to a routine. I mean, I wear the same shirt and the same boxers to bed. At home, on the road. I sleep in that. Wake up, I do the same routine. Like my hair has been the same. I think since the Florida games, maybe a little after that, but I've kept my hair the same. Some may call it superstition, but I just think it works.
Some mice.
and what's crazy is that, so Emma Austin, she started it first. She would wear a sticker on her cheek, and I was like, oh, I really like that. I wanna add that. So, I started putting on the sticker, and I was like, oh, I like, look good, feel good, play good. And I did not wear it Thursday and Friday of the tournament.
Over 6.
Over 6. In the championship day, she had on a sticker, and I forgot to put mine on. And like throughout the morning, I was like, man, I'm just missing my stick. I'm missing a stick. And Emma's like, do you want to wear mine? Like, it's fine. And I was really hesitant because I didn't want to take, her sticker. But she was like, no, just, take it. So she puts it on. And I said, oh, today's gonna be a good day. And I ended up going 3-for-3, 3 doubles. And I might have to owe all credit to Emma's sticker. Because the sticker, I think that's just what gets me through. I think it completes my look. I said right once I put it on, I feel complete. And from there I went on.
I don't think she minds getting the credit either. Do you?
Nope.
She loves the credit.
Yeah, she does.
But deserves the credit.
But you also changed what you were doing at the plate.
Yes.
Which made a big difference for you. Was it all weekend, or was it specifically Saturday that you said no more stride? I'm just going to.
It was specifically Saturday. I remember when we played UNI earlier in the season, in the Valley. Oh, give all the credit to both of those UNI pitchers because, they're top in our conference. They're really good. And I know that they both have spin on the ball, movement, speed. And I said, I'm just going to get to we call it the launch position. I'm just going to get there, be in the back of the box, and then I'm going to see it. And I kept my hands high, made sure I sit in that launch position, and then I just went from there. Kept it simple.
But it's amazing. It didn't take anything away from your power because you knocked the what out of all 3 of those balls. One of them hit the fence, one of them one-hopped the fence, and then the other one was your last double.
Almost hit Jackie in the
Yeah,
almost hit
knocked
Jackie.
me
Yeah,
out.
Almost knocked
exactly.
Jackie out.
It was going right between my eyes.
But it didn't harm your power at all,
No.
which was nice.
Jackie, to be player of the year as a sophomore, so young in your career, where you've now come in freshman, sophomore years, going back-to-back regionals. You've seen what this senior class has done. How has this senior class motivate you as someone who's still young and still accomplishing a lot of great things and a lot hopefully still in front of you? What have they been like to follow, and where have they helped you out to really give you the platform that you have to be that charismatic, that energetic leader that you are on the field?
I think they do a lot of leadership, behind the scenes that, nobody really gets to see. Riley Hamilton does a really good job at keeping me in myself, not letting me get too big or too, down. She tries to really make sure I stay at a good place. And then, Elizabeth Warwick, she's much quieter with her, how she leads. She, in the first game that we walked it off, she goes, if you do it, I'm going to do it. She called it. She said, if you do it, I'll do it. And so I let off with the hit, and then sure enough, there goes Elizabeth Warwick, knocks me in. So, it's just we trust them so much. And just the way they lead helps keep all of our younger players that haven't had the regional experience, or even that, my class that does have some regional experience, they just keep us focused and make sure that we all have the same goal and that we all want to get to the same place, and they do a really good job with that.
After last year's regional, even going into last year's regionals, were your eyes just like this a year ago, and this year now they're okay, been there, done that, let's get this thing?
Yeah, I would definitely say after we won the tournament this year, it really didn't hit me. And like Sydney can vouch for me on this. Like we looked at each other and we were like, this doesn't feel like we just won it all. Like we were just like, what? But like last year, like after we won it, like I was teary-eyed, like I was so hyper and like I was going off the walls. But like this year it was just kind of like, okay, we've been here before, like we got to do something else, like do something new.
It's easy for us to talk about throughout the year, whether it's expectation, whether it's trying to get to a regional. I think everyone knows that typically the Valley recently, Northern Iowa, outstanding team. If they get a chance to go to a regional, they would give so many teams fits, like they did with a really good non-conference schedule this year. But the Valley, for the most part, has been a one-bid league. That's a lot of pressure. And deservingly, we've looked at your numbers, the stats this year. No question, you all deserve to go and earn the right to go through getting the automatic bid. But do you feel that pressure at all as players as you're going through a tournament, that single elimination? We, of course, talked about the high stakes within the games, but also knowing that you may deserve to go, but odds are if you don't get that automatic bid, you may not go. So how, as players, do you navigate those emotions? Because we live in it because we tell the stories to the fans, to your families that are going through it. But as a player, do you even put yourself in those positions to even get in those conversations, if that makes sense?
I feel like for this tournament, I feel like the biggest hump we had to get through was that first game. I think throughout the whole tournament, I was probably more anxious for the first game than I ever was for the championship. I think we just got done playing Murray State. This is our 4th time playing them in a row. It's hard enough to beat a team 3 times, let alone add a 4th game to it. We've seen their number 1 pitcher. They saw Mattia, I don't know how many times through the lineup. So I feel like, and even throughout our series, they were already low-scoring games, like the 1-0 shutout. I mean, that's a pitcher's duel. So I think probably the first day, that was just probably the most anxious. But after that, it's kind of like, okay, we probably just went through the hardest part of our schedule. Now we just keep rolling. Now we just don't look back. We keep going. We got through the hardest part. And I think each day it ended up getting a little bit easier. And by the time of the championship, I don't know, at least for me, I seriously, right once we got there, I was like, okay, we're going to win. That feeling of just knowing that you're going to go out there and everyone's going to do well, you feel good, and you just already know it's going to be a good day.
Jackie, to go and have a chance to win a regional, to now is kind of what Mike alluded to. Last year, maybe eyes a little bit bigger, now focused in. What's it going to take for this group to go this weekend, to have a successful weekend, and to continue your season into a super?
I think this team just needs to keep our offense rolling. We really started to figure it out that last game because the first 2 games our bats were a little bit more quiet than we were used to. But I think us getting that experience in all 3 of those games of playing from behind and just having to put our heads down and get to work, I think that was really good for us because we really have not played from behind, it really felt like much this season. So just getting that extra confidence that, you know, our pitchers are going to keep us in the game, and all we've got to do is just figure out how to get 2 to 3 runs in a game. If not, like, more would be preferred, but just knowing that no matter who our pitchers are going against, they're going to keep us within just a couple of runs to get us through the regional, to get us through a tournament. Like, that's a lot of pressure taken off of an offense. So I think we just need to focus in on just getting those few key hits in a row and stringing them together and getting those runs in. And then just, because, I mean, our defense and our pitching are going to keep us in every game. Like, that's just a given at this point. So just getting that offense to just get us those couple of runs is going to be really big for us.
Well, it's going to be a lot of fun this weekend. Of course, the stakes are at its highest, regional with all the big cameras, television networks. It's going to be a lot of fun to see both of you and, of course, the rest of the team play this weekend. Thanks so much for taking time to talk to us today, ladies. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Once again, that was Sydney Jones and Jackie Liss. We'll be back with more here at Saluki Softball in just a matter of moments. As Liz Warwick, I think we got a little bit to talk about with Liz here in just a matter of moments.
As she cries.
As she cries, that Riley Hamilton joins us. You're listening to Saluki Softball here from Saluki Athletics. Let's roll. Welcome back as we are previewing the NCAA Regional this weekend in Baton Rouge. The Salukis on their way to take on Cal First this weekend and hopefully have some success this weekend with both of these ladies who joined us now. Riley Hamilton, Liz Warwick, thank you ladies so much for joining us and also being patient to join us with everybody else on your team coming on. What are the emotions like? I know we've said that for everybody so far, but just to know that this was the goal all year long and to know that you've accomplished it. What's it meant, Riley, to know that you all continue to practice and continue to get to play with one another?
You know, to try to put into words what we're feeling is just, I don't even know. You can't do it. I mean, like, I just feel like it's harder to do it once you've already done it. So, like, we did it last year, and, you know, we weren't expected to do it. So we don't have that extra pressure of, like, hey, like, you're the 1 seed, you need to win, you know. And this year we had all the pressure, and honestly, I feel like it was way harder to do this year than it was last year. And I think just, you know, I'm on top of the world right now. You know, senior year, you want to go out with a bang, and we're definitely doing it. So.
Yeah, I mean, pure joy, really. I said this at the end of the game against UNI, but I still feel like I'm 18 doing this for the first time, and this has been 3 times now. And having a regular season championship to go along with it has just made it so much more special, especially being a senior.
I mean, when you think about it, 3 times.
Yeah.
That is in 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's more than a lot of people get, obviously. And the talent of this group of seniors through the years has shown, because you guys are never out of a game. I don't think maybe one game got out of hand this year, that game against Purdue earlier in the preseason.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But conference-wise, never out of a game, always in the games. And it was the senior leadership. A hit may have come from the underclassmen, but it was your leadership that kept everybody involved every inning, every game. And as Jen would say, we don't play it game by game. We literally play it pitch by pitch, inning by inning.
Yeah.
So, you know, what with you seniors through the years, how has that grown from your freshman year to now, that leadership ability?
So, I don't know. I feel like, you know, like you said, our senior class is a very big leader to the rest of the team, and you know, we're all capable. And one thing that I did say that I want to mention is that at the very beginning of the year, I texted in our little group chat, and I was like, I don't want anyone to look at us like, you know, captains or whatever. You know, not that they don't look up to us, but I said the team that will win and the team that will continue to win and win the championship and, you know, get all of our goals that we wanted is a team full of leaders. And I said if every single one of you is a leader, that's the team that's going to win, and that's the team that you're going to see winning a 2 to 3 ball game in the championship and really just grinding it out. And you know, since freshman year, I started off, you know, just a little. I mean, I feel like it was yesterday, but I mean, it was a full 4 years ago. You know, I didn't really know my role. I didn't really know. I couldn't imagine this, you know, today. But I would like to give thanks to, you know, Carrie Blaylock and just the way that she shaped me, and, you know, she really was hard on me and she really pushed me, and I feel like the leader I am today is because of her, and, you know, even Jen, you know, pushing me to, you know, do better and be better of little things. And at the time I was like, ugh, but, you know, now I'm really like, thank you, because my leadership skills and everything that I've learned has paid off. And yeah.
And you may not be the one that's going to yell and shout, but you've got that presence as a leader that I think is very important as well. Riley is somebody who might get in your face, and, you know, as Jackie said, you've been really good with Jackie, keeping her where she needs to be. You may not be the one that's going to yell at somebody or always there, but you have the other way of leading.
Yeah, I'll leave the yelling and screaming and shouting to Riley.
She'll just hit walk-offs.
No, but I understand my role on the team, and I just come every day and try to get to work. But I think that we all learn something from each other every day that we're in practice, and practices don't even really feel like practices. Like, we just love being with each other and being out there, and so it's been really great. I learned something new from my teammates every day.
It's a common question, Liz. I know you've been asked a ton. I'm pretty sure Connor Onion asked it to you right after the walk-off grand slam and just all the emotions of being the MVP of the tournament and all the other accolades that you were able to earn. But when you're in that moment, of course, Jackie in front of you gets hit by a pitch, loads the bases, there's no outs. But take us through just the approach of being in the moment. What do you try to remind yourself of or think of as an athlete to make sure you remain locked in and focused on what you need to do?
Yeah, I've been asked that, and it's funny because I think that I wasn't really thinking much, and I think that that's when the good things happen, is when I kind of have nothing in my head. When I look back into that game, I had a couple at bats where I was talking to my dad because we were down in the 7th inning, so I didn't quite know how it was going to go, but I just tried to do things that were keeping me calm and comfortable, and I just really wasn't trying to think about anything, because when you make the moment too big, that's when bad things happen.
I know you've seen the video of last year's walk-off and this year's walk-off. You didn't do anything different rounding the bases. That's amazing.
Yeah, I guess I don't know what I'm going to do until I'm in that situation, but I guess I have a go-to, which I'm really grateful, I guess, to be known for a go-to in that situation. But yeah, I don't know. I couldn't get home fast enough to my teammates. I was so happy, and I was happy that I was in that situation. But, Aaron and Anna and Jackie obviously had 3 huge at-bats, and that was the reason why that at-bat even happened. So they should get a lot of credit for that.
Liz, you talked about the emotions of, one, just to hit a walk-off like that, and you see the crowd and the emotion. I'm listening to Trude, and he's like, I don't know if I can take another more like this, but he can.
I warned him.
Yeah, he did warn him. But it's the moment you also said of, you could feel yourself talking to your dad, and you had those emotions on top of it. Like, what has the last 2 years at this time of year, in those moments to come through, to have those moments with your dad? For those here, obviously they all know the story, your teammates, everybody. But for those that don't know, just give them a glimpse of just how special. I know it's still emotional, but it also makes the moment even harder for everybody that knows everything you've had to go through, obviously.
Yeah, I think that's something that gives me a lot of peace, is that I'm confident that I'm exactly where he would want me to be and doing exactly what he would want me to do. And with the support that I've received from my best friends and my teammates, there was no way that I was going to fail and not being here doing that with them. And so I know that he'd be very proud of me, and so that makes me very happy.
How about Saturday? You come up, we're trailing by a run, and your power's to right center field. It's been that way as long as I've been watching you guys play. And you get a ball out over the plate, and you deposit it where it needed to go, over the fence in right center. Talk about that at bat.
So I live for games like that and big moments like that. That's when big moments happen. So, I wouldn't say necessarily struggling, because all my balls were hit hard. They just went straight to somebody. And so my mindset was just keep going, keep having good at-bats. I was swinging at good pitches, And so I was just, really intense in that moment, but I kept grounding myself and telling, don't do too much. Just keep doing what you're doing. The ball's going to drop. Well, in this case, it dropped over the fence, so no one could catch it. So that was ideal. But yeah, when it hit off the bat, I knew it was a hard ball.
Everybody, the last couple of series and in the tournament, is trying to get under your hands inside to get you to roll over to the third baseman, and you'll foul them off and just hope for that one mistake that you can pounce on. And like you said, you've been hitting the ball hard. They've just been atom balls, and it's through no fault of your own that you would have an 0 for 3. It easily could have been a 2 for 3 during a certain day, and then that pitch at that time was earmarked for your bat.
Yeah, I just, you've been playing the game for so long, especially when you're like us, and you know that your ball's going to drop, and you know that it's going to happen. You just have to keep, it's so hard. That's the hardest part about softball. You just got to keep going. And we literally say, just keep swinging. Just keep swinging. You just got to keep showing up, got to keep going. You can't stop, because you're going to be called back up in that moment, and you're either going to do it or you're going to know hero or zero. And so, you just got to keep swinging, and that's just kind of the mindset that I have.
There are moments, Riley, where people may focus more on the offensive moments, like Liz with the walk-off grand slam, the walk-off double, all those things, and those are great. How much pride do you take in changing games defensively? Because there are so many games where just from watching the TV games that True would do this year to all the course as True gets Go Cubs Go going here in front of us, which that's never a bad time to hear that.
Never a bad time.
But to the point of what it means to change games defensively. Because, I mean, just looking up and down, you got bruises all over your body. I mean, and those probably do come at an offensive at-bats, but a lot of them are from those defensive slugfests that you have.
Well, this one's actually from when I was raising Elizabeth up after the walk-off.
On the shoulders, yes.
Yeah,
Awesome.
accidentally her.
But, you know, defense is my favorite. I love defense. I've always loved defense. I feel like hitting is just like, yeah, it's hitting. But then when I get on defense, that's when I really can shine, and I know that about myself. And in moments like that, especially when there's a runner on first and second, I think I've done this at least once every tournament where there's a runner on first and second, I hit 3 and I throw to 1, and so it was just funny that it happened in the championship. But in moments like that, there's been multiple times where I just tell Maddie, give it to me, just give it to me, and when we have one out especially, I'm like, give it to me, we'll get this out and we'll go in there, and that's exactly what happened. And it's almost like, I don't know, it's almost like the universe is, here you go, and I just yeah, I enjoy defense so much. That's one thing that me and MJ kind of bond on, because she loved defense, and obviously a great third baseman, and she played everywhere. But yeah, so I love defense.
Before we get to your final teammates here today and wrap up our regional preview, Liz, we talk about the confidence of this group. This has always been the expectation. Knew that you would get to this moment. Now to execute. Coach Sewell has told you all week, what we need is what we have. There's nothing more than outside of this locker room to go and win a regional. It's not like you got, all right, we need everybody in this room to raise anything. It's what you have is good enough. So what do you have? What does this team have that sets them up for success this weekend, Liz, to be able to go on the road in SEC country and know you can walk in that stadium and have a very successful weekend?
Yeah, I think we're well-rounded in every part of the game. We have great defense, great hitting, and great pitching. So when you have all the 3 of those firing, you're going to put your best game out there. So, and I think just remembering who we are, not making the moment bigger than it needs to be, because we're going to be playing the game that we've been playing since we were 4, 5, and 6. So we're still going to throw a yellow ball and put a bat on a ball, and we're going to do really well. I'm excited.
Well, it's going to be exciting to watch both of you. It'll be exciting to listen to this guy call your games this weekend in Baton Rouge. Riley, Liz, thanks. It's been such a joy to watch you, as everybody on the team. Again, like we said to everybody, keep this thing rolling for another week. It's been so much fun to watch you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Go Dogs. Go Dogs.
All right, go Dogs indeed. We'll be back with more as we close out the show with Bailey and Emma. Right after this, you're listening to Saluki Softball here from Saluki Athletics. I think we're all right, the finale here at the Saluki Softball Regional. We started with Coach Sewell back at the top of the hour. Again, we'll archive this show. You'll be able to go back and interact and watch the show as you get ready for this weekend.
Is this called saving the best for last?
Yes, I think so indeed. Emma Austin, Bailey Kaler join us here to close out our regional preview. Ladies, thanks so much, again, for being patient, hanging around here in the Cook Club, watching the show throughout. Man, are you ready to hit the road? You ready to get in the air to find some time this weekend to get off and finally get to a regional and play again?
Definitely.
Yes.
I think we're all really excited to just get going, and it's always fun. The travel is always awesome. We get to fly there, which is going to be great. So, yeah, I think we're all excited.
Mm-hmm.
Bailey, Emma, the expectation's always been there. Again, it's no surprise to see this team here. But to do it the way you all have, to go through the regular season, be a conference champion, to then win the tournament, only one time in school history that's ever been done in 1991, now to have a chance to get a regional on that list. What would it mean as being huge leaders of this team to have all of those check marks?
I mean, I think that, everyone else kind of touched on this a little bit, but, you always want to leave your legacy. That's kind of the goal when we come here to play. You want to leave your legacy, and you want to do something awesome that nobody else has done. And so being able to do two of those things would be incredible, where I think that we have a pretty good shot. I like our chances going into this regional, so it would just be incredible to add another notch in the belt.
And
I think that a lot of us coming in, we obviously wanted to do it for everyone, but thinking about the seniors and what they've meant to us, we really just wanted to send y'all out with a bang, honestly. I know for me personally, being a junior and playing with them for the last 3 years and knowing how much they've done for the program and for us, how much they've led us to who we are now, I think just being able to do it for them and have a special last season really meant a lot.
And I think that happens a lot in athletics is you look at the senior class and you go, I want to do, as an underclassman, I want to send them out on as high of a high as we possibly can. Not that they weren't heavily involved in that, because your senior class is phenomenal, but to be able to do that as an underclassman and send them out with the legacy that they've already helped set has got to be a great feeling.
Oh, yeah. I mean, since freshman year, just playing with them and how much they've meant to me personally, I know how close I've gotten to them. And it's really just like playing with your sisters and your best friends one last time. I know, like, all season I would make the comment all the time, like, I feel like I'm a senior. Like, I feel like I'm leaving with them, it did get emotional because at times I was like, I'm running out of time, with them. I'm running out of time with them. And so, yeah, it definitely has just meant a lot, how much they've done for me, how much they've done for all of the classes in general. Being able to send them out on this high, no matter what happens at the regional, just being able to get them another ring and get them to this regional has been really special.
Do you guys feel that this regional will be a bazillion times different than a year ago, in that last year was the first regional for you? Jack even said she went in there kind of like, oh my gosh, this is a big time stage. I get the feeling that there isn't a stage that's too big for you guys anymore.
No, well, and I feel like too, the regional that we were going, in Utah, it was a lot of big names, Baylor and Ole Miss, and I think that was part of the intimidation factor. And, obviously LSU, that's a huge, huge name, but I think that we have just as good of a shot as anybody, in that regional. And I think it also comes too with the confidence of winning the conference championship, and we just had the expectation that we were going to be back on this big stage again. So I think that's part of why there's not really any nerves or anything like that.
I think personally, last year's regional, the situation was just completely different. It was just a lot of outside factors. It was just a completely different situation, and I still remember going into it, people would be doing the pre-regional show on it, and they wouldn't even mention our name. They'd say Baylor, Ole Miss, Utah. That's about it. And we saw that coming in, and we were kind of like, well, okay. What about us? Yeah, exactly. I personally, going into it, I didn't feel like it was that crazy for us to be there. I didn't think that we were worse off there than anyone else. And I think that carries over to this regional. I like our chances just as much as any regional we could have been sent to. I like our matchups. I like the game. Obviously, LSU, big school. That'll be awesome. It's awesome to be there. But I think even going into this year, I think the names that we played last year at regionals and the situations that we played through, and I think it really opened our eyes to what we can do and how much of a force we are when we all come together and we all have the same goal in mind. I think that just carries that much over to this year and makes our chances that much better.
There's been so much conversation, not just throughout the show, throughout the year, Emma and Bailey, of just seemed like there were weekends where it was a rotating door on who it was that would rise to the occasion. It's not just been Jackie Player of the Year. Jackie's been great all year long, but someone like Bailey, you in the Belmont series was huge. You go throughout the year, Emma, there's been so many plays where you've made that have been massive. What is the uniqueness about this team where there's no question some clear go-tos within the team of where you go to get most of the production, but also you can count on anybody at any given time to really come through and have some big moments for you throughout the year?
Yeah, well, I think it's just that. We just have so much depth on our team, and I think especially in the tournament, Anna Carter comes up huge, Erin Lee comes up huge. It doesn't have to just be us and Riley and Elizabeth and all of the people that you hear about more than others. And I think that's just the biggest part of why we're so good overall as a team, because you can call on anybody to come off the bench and they're going to go in and make something happen.
Yeah, I think it could really be anyone's day, depending on who it is, really. And I think it's not even as much like day as much as like inning. Like who's inning, who's at bat. I think that this team is so good at good or bad kind of trashing what happened just in the last few minutes and going up there like it's a new day, a new game. And I think that's what makes our team so incredible, is because you never know. It could quite literally be anyone. I think that's helped a lot this year because, you haven't had to go off of the first at bat. You kind of think, oh, okay, well, not their day. We'll try again tomorrow, or not their weekend. It really goes at bat to at bat, inning to inning, play to play, and that's just been crazy this year because like I said, it could be anyone, and you don't know. So you really just have to wait and see until the time comes.
The defense has carried this team all year long. Best defense in the league, best hitting team in the league. 7th inning of the Northern Iowa game, the outfield was playing no doubles. I'm assuming it was you were all playing deep to take away doubles. And then what do they do? That first hit. But I remember saying it on the air. I said they can play deep because they can all come in very well on the ball. And there's rarely a ball that they can't get to if they're coming in. And that first ball certainly tested you.
Yeah.
Talk about that play.
We were kind of joking. We were like, you see some people dive and it's like not really necessary. And Mead, actually, in the weight room, our strength coach this morning.
Of all people.
Yeah. Was like, so you think you really needed to dive for that? And I was like, I don't care. Did I catch it? I don't care. In that situation, like, you're playing so deep and you're coming in, those ones straight at you, I think are so hard to read anyways. You can't tell if it's going over your head. You can't tell if it's going to drop in front of you. And I was just thinking, like, please, just go catch the ball. Don't care what I had to do. And, I caught it, so a win's a win.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we were, I remember Jen was, like, deep.
Yeah, no
Nothing
doubles.
behind, no doubles.
Right.
So, yeah, it worked out.
Yeah, but what I thought was unique about the catch was normally you do get there in plenty of time to catch it regular, underhanded.
Mm-hmm.
And this one, you had to turn the glove and then hit the ground. And sometimes that ground is going to pop that ball out. And I think that was your biggest issue was, please stay in the glove. Please stay in the glove.
No, I landed and I felt my feet getting up. I was like, squeeze. Where's my other hand? I need to grab this. And that's why I actually stood up, and I just remember, after everyone came in.
Jackie came and killed you.
Jackie. See, she did it, and then she was just saying, give me the ball, give me the ball, give me the ball. Take it. I don't want it anymore.
This group, I think it's clear, it comes across in your interviews. It comes across whether senior day, Coach Sewell going through all the letters that she wrote to all of you, the seniors, Bailey, to how you all just interact with each other just before the show today when you're out traveling. You've been on the road so much this year. Yes, the success, the numbers, the rings, you're going to remember all of that and love that you have all the tangible stuff. But what are just through the memories? What are you just through those road trips that this team you're going to remember no matter what the rest of the way?
I mean, we just talk about it all the time. We just genuinely all love each other so much, and we're just all the best of friends. And I think that's, you can say that, whatever. And I think that, looking in from the outside, people can kind of see that, but you don't really understand until you're, like, in it. And I could just go on and on all day about every single person on the team and just how awesome they are. And I think that's just what I'm going to remember the most is not, like you said, not necessarily the softball-related stuff, but just how incredible the girls that I've gotten to play with are and how much I just love them. And I'll remember that forever, for sure.
How about for you, Emma?
That's so sad. Yeah, it definitely gets old saying it and hearing it, but like Bailey said, like, we're just all the best of friends. I can't think of a single time where, like it just really feels like you're all best friends, no matter, everyone has a different sort of relationship, and I think that's why everyone gets along so well, because everyone just, they get it. And I don't know how else to put that, but, each one does have, each person has a different relationship with each other, but it's all, the relationship is there. And I think that's the important part is, you don't all have to have the same relationship. You don't all have to get each other on the same level, but, to a certain extent, each one does. And I think that's what makes it so special. Last year's team, I was like, oh, it doesn't get any closer than this. And then this year's team, and I was like, wow, this is going to be sad. And we're getting closer to that. And it's just really opened my eyes on, like I said, the relationships that everyone has, how special each of them are. And, yeah, it's been a good year.
I mean, I can vouch for it. I've traveled with this team now for the last 2 years. I thought last year's team was incredibly special and close and tight-knit. And then this group came along, and it's just been, I mean, I shot a TikTok video for them on the bus.
Wow.
Coming home.
He did.
Talk about that. I mean, I've traveled with teams for the last 25 years through Saluki Athletics, and this group and last year's group are by far, nobody's even close to touching them as far as closeness, as special people. I feel like they're all my daughters, which is really cool. And Sydney gets a little jealous. My actual daughter gets jealous when I talk about them so much. But she knows some of them and knows of them, and she goes, they are really special. And I said, they are. And I've loved every second of it. And I just don't want it to end. I really don't. And that's why I'm so excited about the draw we got, about where we're going. Mm-hmm. It's doable, girls.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
I
he
think we
shot
all
a TikTok and got a hat.
And I got a hat.
Yes, and a hat.
He got a hat.
I'm fully ingrained.
Yeah.
Hey, more TikToks this weekend for Trude. I think after every win, I think Trude needs to do a TikTok. I think that'd be.
I won't be in it. I'll just shoot it.
You just shoot. Well, you could shoot. That's fine. I do think probably for the big one though, I think you got to be in it. I think
it's up to them.
Yeah, I think
Emma
so.
and Baylor can be creative. Don't rely on Dr. Anton for ideas.
No, I'll rely on it. Emma's the brains of the TikTok outfit.
Yeah.
Yes.
You should see her go to work on the bus. It's amazing.
Oh, it's I'm sure it is. Emma, Bailey, thanks so much for taking the time for holding on here for our last segment. We appreciate it. Have fun this weekend. Soak it up. Enjoy it. As Coach Schul says, you don't need anything more than what you all have to have success this weekend. Mm-hmm. Have fun in Baton Rouge this weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you
so
so
much
much
for having us on here.
Yes.
It's been so fun.
Oh, thank you guys. Both of them. That was Bailey and Emma. Join us as we wrap things up here from the Cook Club here this afternoon with my partner, Mike True. Mike, you ready to call these games?
I'm ready. Let's play tomorrow. I wish didn't we have to wait till Friday? That's the bad part.
I know. That's the bad part. Got to wait throughout the week. We'll have more coverage coming out throughout the week as well. Want to say a big thank you to Alec Runyon, who helped set this up. He does outstanding work all year long for all of our social media. Alec will continue that with Ollie Thompson as well, who will provide really good coverage behind the scenes this week in Baton Rouge. And then my partner, Mike Trude, he will call all the games for you on the Varsity Network app. So if you don't have it downloaded, download it today, and you'll be able to listen to all of the games this weekend from Baton Rouge. For everybody for Saluki Softball, for my partner, Mike Trude, Trude will talk to you this weekend in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, regional softball coming at you. This has been